Good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum, presented and produced by the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. My name is Valerie Nelson, and I am Vice President for Voter Service for our chapter's League of Women Voters. I'm also the moderator for this event. Tonight, we welcome the candidates running for Westland Mayor. There are 6 candidates running for Mayor of Westland. The 2 candidates that received the most votes in the August primary will be on the ballot for the November general election. The mayoral election is for a partial term that will end on January 1st, 2026. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We do not support or oppose any candidate running for office. The League does take position on issues after study, so you may see our name attached to an issue that we are advocating or opposing. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Membership is open to anyone who is at least 16 years old, and you can join through our websites. The League's main mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation in government. One of the ways we do that is by having forums such as this one tonight. The League also provides a nonpartisan voter guide, which can be found online at www.votefor1.org. Only League personnel and the candidates are present at this forum. We solicited questions from the public in advance so we could ask them at tonight's forum. Questions were screened for clarity, and those which included personal attacks on a candidate were eliminated. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates and not of the League of Women Voters. All qualified candidates were invited, and we have 4 here tonight. All the candidates have agreed to the format for tonight's forum, which is as follows. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute opening statement, a 2-minute response to all questions, and a 2-minute closing statement. The order that candidates speak was determined by a random selection process witnessed by the candidates before recording of this forum began. We will rotate the order of the candidate who responds to a question first. League member Jackie Peters produced this forum tonight, and Carrie Moon Dupree is our timer. She will be holding up cards so that the candidates know when their time is up. The candidates must stop when the stop sign appears. And now we will get started with our forum. Let's begin with opening statements. Mr. Godbout, would you like to begin?
Sure. I'm Jim Godbout, and I've had the honor of serving on the Westland City Council for the past 23 years, 13 of those as council president. Over the course of that time, the residents of Westland have trusted me to make decisions based on what's best for the city and all the residents. I've worked with 3 different administrations and learned what works and what doesn't work when it comes to running the city. Even though I've been on the city council for some time, most don't know my professional background. I graduated from Lawrence Tech with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration and had a very successful career in the electrical industry. During that time, I had some of the best training that corporate America could offer. Some of that training included personnel management, negotiation skills, leadership training, project management, Six Sigma training, and much, much more. I traveled globally, leading and managing teams and organizations, and significantly increased business in each of those organizations. Westland is an almost $80 million a year business. Over the past 2 budgets, the city has allocated or spent almost $10 million of one-time American Rescue Plan funds to balance the budget. Budget projections have us utilizing over $1 million per year of our reserve fund balance in just a few short years. This would negatively impact our bond rating or force tax increases, something that nobody wants. We need to start running the city more like the $80 million business that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Godbout. Mr. Coleman, would you like to go next?
Hi, everybody. I'm State Representative Kevin Coleman. I've been representing Westland for 9 years now, 5 as our state representative and 4 years on city council before that. I'm 40 years old and I live near Wayne and Cherry Hill right here in Westland. I'm a proud homeowner and I go to Lansing every week to service at our state capitol. I'm the chairman of the Michigan Housing Committee and vice chairman of the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. I also serve on transportation, energy and communications, and insurance and financial services, and I hold a bachelor's degree from Western Michigan University. I have 100% attendance record since 2014 representing you, but more importantly, I've gotten great results for our community, and I'm the candidate with a real plan to make Westland an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm running for mayor because I've had great success as our state representative, and our state budget is in good hands and on solid ground, but I have very serious concerns about what's going on at Westland City Hall. And I know it'll take experience and someone who knows government to address the challenges we're facing moving forward. Our next mayor should be someone with a lifelong commitment towards the city, and I believe that I'm that person. When you vote, I'm asking that you remember, as your state representative and city councilman, I've always stood up for the people, and my team has always provided great customer service for thousands of Westland residents. That's exactly what I bring to the table. As the only candidate who's represented Westland at both the state and local level, I have the unique ability to bring together the kind of partnerships between state, local, and county government we'll need to bring Westland to the next level. As state representative, I repealed the pension tax on seniors and cut taxes for working people. I delivered record funding for Wayne, Westland, and Livonia schools. I brought tens of millions of dollars in much needed state budget dollars to our district and to fund all kinds of projects. I'm looking forward to that kind of great success as our next mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Owadi?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ali Owadi. I hold a PhD in public administration from Walden University. I've had over 32 years experience in management in private and public institutions. I was a professor for over 10 years. I taught business management, leadership, political science, criminology, and various other social science classes. I moved to Westland approximately 2.5 years ago, and my experience with the residents in Westland has been very positive. However, I do see some issues that need to be addressed. Wasteful spending within the city, public safety, which I have experience in as a director of public safety and a chief of police for several years. I feel that those should be addressed, and I feel like there's no transparency at all within the government. I'd like to see that transparency move forward, including to avoid FOIA for residents for non-confidential information. And I'd like to see the residents take back ownership of Westland instead of the government telling them what to do. I'd like to see the residents have control of the city government and the city administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owadi. Mr. Londo?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening to everyone that's going to be watching this recording. First, thank you so much to the League of Women Voters. It's very important to have these type of forums to better understand what the candidates are all about. So my name is Michael P. Londo. I'm the current mayor of the city of Westland. I'm 44 years old, and I proudly serve as mayor currently. But prior to serving as mayor, I was a member of the Westland City Council for 5 years. 3 of those years, I was the city council president pro tem, prior to being overwhelmingly appointed to the mayor's position in January of 2023. Prior to my service on the city council, I was the chairman of the city's Downtown Development Authority. When I was appointed as the 9th mayor for the city of Westland, I promised to always work on behalf of the community that we all love. In just 6 months, I'm proud to say that I've worked hard to bring transformational progress to our community, helping improve quality of life while also supporting economic growth and social justice. We've worked hard to make Westland a more inclusive place to live, work, and play, reflecting our shared values and reaffirming our commitment to building a better Westland for all residents, regardless of their background or circumstances. There's still a lot of work to be done. I have a lot of plans in place that we're going to get into, I'm sure, as some of the questions come out. But again, I really want to thank the League of Women Voters, and actually thank you to the candidates as well for taking the time to come on here. I think it's very important for the residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Londo. We'll begin the questions now, and we'll start with you, Mr. Godbout. Why are you running for mayor of Westland? And please describe your qualifications and experience you bring to this office.
Sure. I'm running for mayor because I think we need to have the city run more like a business. I've watched over the past several years where we've done things not necessarily for a business perspective, but for political reasons. There's, I believe I'm by far the most qualified person, having served 23 years on the city council. I've led the city council during some of the biggest growth periods that we've had. When I was council president, we moved into the new city hall facility, which won awards at the state level. We remediated Central City Park. We built the playscape. The new playscape that's in place was originally started discussions back when I was still council president. We did the farmers market. We've done improvements to Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center and much, much more. I believe my business background, leading teams on an international level, gives me the experience from a business perspective in order to run the city. And I would appreciate the voter support, recognizing the qualifications that I have and the background that I have to do this job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman, same question.
Thank you. I would say that I'm running for mayor because I've had a lot of success as our state representative and as a city councilman. When I was on city council, one of the most exciting things we did was open the Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center in the historic Norwayne part of our community. I'm still proud of that to this day. Anytime I can get over there to an event and see the community, I go over there. I visit different parts of the community every year. And then as state representative, I've cut taxes again for seniors and working people. I've done a lot of things that I'm very proud of. I've just brought $7 million back to our community in the form of a special budget allocation for the fire department to build 2 new fire stations and buy them all new equipment. This will help our city for years to come and make our city a safer place to live and work. I believe that we all deserve safe and secure neighborhoods. And I would say the most important quality that I have, though, is that I'm a compassionate person. I care about people, and that's why I always give out my cell phone number to every citizen in the city, every resident in the city, because I want to make sure I'm available to talk. I call back every person that calls me. My office has helped people through the pandemic, through losing their unemployment benefits. What we do is we take care of the people, and I make sure that I'm on top of the issues and I listen to everybody. So that's why I'm still to this day knocking doors, visiting different parts of the community and listening. And I believe that that makes me well suited to be the next mayor of Westland. I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi?
Yes. Ever since I moved to Westland, I've honestly enjoyed my neighbors and I've enjoyed the community. But as I speak to more and more residents, I find out that the issues that are concerning them, first and foremost, is public safety. There's no patrols in the streets anymore. They don't see officers, and I can attest to that because I've seen officers in my neighborhood maybe once in 2 years, unless it's an emergency that somebody called. So there's no patrols in the neighborhoods. They feel like their taxes are constantly increasing. And there's no resolution to it because I believe we just got another increase or going to have an increase. I feel like that with my experience over 32 years of management, my education and leading and teaching people public administration, I might not have the political experience, but I think people need a change. And I think the residents are tired of just having the same old, and nothing's really being done or addressed. And again, I've stated again and again, the power needs to go back to the people. They need to be represented 100%. Thank you.
Mr. Londo?
Thank you for the question. I believe I have the qualifications to do it because I'm already doing the job as the current mayor. I've been doing this job wholeheartedly for the last 6 months. But like I mentioned, there's still a lot of work to do. I'm very proud of all the accomplishments that my team has been able to put together in just such a short time. Our finances are as good as they've ever been. We have a 3-year balanced budget, which is considered a best practice in municipal finance. We have a nearly $7 million budget surplus. And I know firsthand what it takes to run one of Michigan's largest cities. As I said, I am currently running the city right now. I'm the only candidate with this valuable experience. I know what it takes. It takes a talented team, a hard worker, motivation, and an innovator to manage a city of our size. As Councilman Godbout said, it is an $80 million corporation. Westland residents want a mayor that can deliver results, and I've been able to do that in my short time in office, and will continue to do so. We're building a brand new state-of-the-art fire station and a training facility on the former Hawthorne Valley Golf site. It was a partnership between the city of Westland, the Wayne Westland Community Schools, and the federal government. There's some funding coming from the federal government as well through the schools to build this training facility. So we're very excited about that. We're tackling commercial blight. We're bringing back a very popular service that was taken away a long time ago, the leaf pickups program, the curbside leaf pickup program. And we're implementing a never before seen sidewalk improvement program, all the while improving our parks as well. So we've seen that we have an amazing team in place. As I mentioned, I did keep Mayor Wild's entire administrative staff. I thought it was important to have continuity in government, but I always challenge them every day to be better. I feel like we always got to be better for our residents. So I have a great working relationship with our city council to continue delivering real tangible results for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman, we'll begin the next question with you. What do you feel are the priorities facing Westland, and how would you address them if you are elected?
Well, the biggest priority we're facing is a public safety shortage. We have the lowest amount of police and firefighters that we've had in decades. And people know it. You know, when I'm knocking on doors, people are telling me I don't see the police here like I used to. I don't see those neighborhood patrols. And we know there's petty neighborhood crime going on all across town. Holiday Park recently had car thefts last weekend, which was caught on video. I've knocked in the south end, the north end, and all around the city. And people say they want strong public safety. Unfortunately, the status quo hasn't provided that. That's why I secured $7 million at the state level for our fire department, so that we can hopefully hire more police and firefighters as part of my public safety plan. I want to make this city a safer place to live and raise a family, and I want to make it safe and secure for everyone, including our seniors. Another thing that's important to me is revitalizing our commercial corridors like Warren, Ford Road, and even Michigan Avenue. I've talked to the owners of Westland Mall. I met with their CEO and their government relations team. We've talked about different options, the ways the city can help. Unfortunately, that help hasn't come yet. That's why I believe my experience at the state level, working in economic development and with developers across the state, trying to increase business in the state of Michigan, and also having input on an $82 billion state budget, makes me a perfect person to be to do the job as mayor of Westland. I'm very excited about it. And another thing I want to tell you is I have some great ideas about parks and recreation and also senior services. I talked to our seniors, and they have a lack of transportation. We have Macon Transit and the Senior Alliance, but those transportation buses only run during 9 to 5 business hours. I want to look for funding, perhaps at the state, county, or federal level to expand that. I think that's important that people can get around.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi, same question.
I think the biggest issue, honestly, there's several of them. The first one is transparency in government. I feel that if a government, especially a local government, is fully transparent, it's going to win the trust of the citizens. The other thing I believe is public safety. You know, like I mentioned before, and even on my platform, there's a lot of training that needs to be done. But in addition, speaking with some recruits that are graduating from the police academies, that went to other departments, and they mentioned that Westland came forward and tried to offer them positions, but very few, if any, took them because of the name that the city police department has. Why, I don't know, but I'd like to get that changed. Speak to residents, again, no patrols. They don't like dealing with the police. The police, some businesses says when they call the police, it takes 20 to 30 minutes to get there. So a lot of things of that nature need to be addressed. The other thing, you know, like Kevin mentioned, and I have that in my platform, is that I believe seniors should have access to, especially medical appointments, after hours, and transportation to those. So, and with veterans at the same time. So that's one of my priorities. The other thing I think we kind of not really looked at is a rec center for Westland. I'd like to work with the current mall and hopefully develop a rec center or build a rec center there within an anchor store, one of the empty anchor stores. So there's a lot of issues that I think I can handle and address immediately with my experience and the leadership experience that I've had throughout my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Londo?
Thank you. Public safety is always my number one priority. You got to support your police and fire departments. I'm the only candidate in this race that's supported by not only our police and fire departments, but all city units who unanimously supported my election. But I want to work with the police and fire departments to work on initiatives, whether it be community policing, emergency preparedness, crime prevention. I've been rolling out a pedestrian safety program, but also I want to remain focused on supporting investment in infrastructure development, such as improving our roads, our parks, and of course, our public spaces to enhance the quality of living, environment for all Westland residents. Third, I will continue to promote access to affordable housing and other opportunities that contribute to a higher quality of life. Fourth, I think we need to work with the owners of the Westland Shopping Center. I too met with them on 3 occasions now to create what our city has long needed, a real city center district. We've been working with them, talking with them. I've set up some leads with some of the developers that have reached out to my office, to the government affairs folks and the CEO or COO, of Namdar Realty Group and Mason Asset Management Group. So I believe we finally turned the corner. The mall owners have met again with my administration a number of times since taking office. And I love what they love what the city and other private investors have done around the mall. So it's really time that they step their game up and increase development within the mall area. Finally, I remain committed to fostering a sense of community through cultural events, recreational programs, and volunteer initiatives that's going to strengthen social cohesion and residents' well-being. We need to, of course, continue to deliver top-notch quality service to our residents who have come to expect and deserve them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout?
Yes, thanks. Public safety, staffing, and financial stability without raising taxes is probably now the top issue that the next mayor will have to handle. These free services and exorbitant contracts that cost us millions without addressing the staffing levels and the deficiencies in staffing will require new revenue to pay for that once the money is gone. We need to start now to improve efficiency and reduce costs so that tax increases are not necessary. If in our police department, we're currently at 82 officers, I believe. And, we used to be at about 106. Based off of the way the finances are and with this new contract, we'll never get back to that number, at least without some significant increase in revenues coming on a long-time basis. Our fire department is slated to be down by 13 bodies if we don't get another SAFER grant to keep those bodies staffing levels up. And if we don't get that grant, there's not enough money in the budget to replace those personnel. So there's a lot of financial issues that need to get addressed. Economic development can help do that. I think with the new Mission to Mars opened up, that Ford Road property is now primed for some development, whether it be residential, commercial, or a mixed use of both of those that will help bring new revenue back into the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi, we'll begin the next question with you. What ideas do you have to attract and cultivate small businesses in Westland?
Well, I spoke to a lot of small businesses, and one of the things that I discovered from them is that they don't feel like they're getting any tax breaks. One of the things I would do, especially existing businesses, but even if it's a new business, for example, if existing businesses want to expand, I'd ensure them that they wouldn't have an additional tax increase on their expansion until after a year to really determine if their business is worth moving forward with that expansion. New businesses, we'd give them an opportunity with tax cuts. I think that we can easily get quite a bit of business once it becomes lucrative with the tax and make it easier for them to establish their business without taking heavy losses at the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Londo?
Thank you so much. Small businesses is a huge part of my platform. As mayor, we've had a tremendous amount of success with local small businesses, minority businesses, first-time businesses, Westland homeowners investing in Westland as small businesses. We've had a number of ribbon cuttings. Our social media reach has just expanded beyond belief as far as some of these, our residents have really wrapped their arms around some of these new businesses that have came in. With those small businesses, we've also had some larger businesses come in. We've had tremendous success with new and redevelopments along the Ford Road corridor. We got a brand new state-of-the-art Tommy's Express car wash at the corner of Ford and Newburgh. That corner just looks completely different now than it looked like 5-6 years ago before I took office. Before I took public office, excuse me. There's a new Dairy Queen drive-through there. Westland's first cannabis retailer will be opening soon along with another beautiful new development, the Griffin Veterinarian Clinic at Ford and Carlson. We have some new openings, 2 former Westland school sites on the south end of town, on the south of Cherry Hill for the first time as long as I can remember. Are opening. We're going to have about 80 new homes, which means more rooftops, which means more daytime numbers, which means more new businesses for our community. So personally, we've expanded our economic development team. We now have 3 full-time members. One is a business retention and expansion coordinator. She's done a tremendous job working with these small businesses to let them know that we are here. We are a resource. We have an amazing Chamber of Commerce in here that works hand in hand with us. And I'm excited to talk about a really big regional economic development partnership in the very near future.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout?
Yes, small businesses are the key to our economic growth. Back when I was council president, we had a fast track team with the mayor put together a fast track team to streamline the process for new businesses coming into the city, where you had somebody from the planning department, from ZBA, from city council, from the administration, and all the departments that the developer needed to touch, sat down in a room and discussed the project and went through and streamlined and made sure that there was a clear understanding of what it took to do business and to get open as quick as possible. I think we need to look at potentially a small business incubator program within the city to help encourage entrepreneurs to start a business, give them the tools, give them some training on what it takes to open and run a business. I think some of the things we're doing and that have been done, one of which is going to be the new park by City Hall, should help drive some more economic development on the outlots of the mall. As I mentioned previously, the Mission to Mars should make this space that the city owns, about another 14 acres, I believe, very attractive for new development. You can't get near that place from 9 o'clock in the morning until dusk. So with all of those visitors coming into the city, it makes it a huge economic advantage to develop that site.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Well, thank you. I think that anytime you have government encourage more business investment in their community, you need 3 things. One is reasonable tax rates. So we need to keep our taxes low. We need to make sure our spending is within reason and realistic. 2, we have to beautify our city. We have, unfortunately, we have areas where sidewalks are still blocked. Pedestrians can't walk safely down the street. You see litter in some areas of the city, and different parts of our city aren't as accessible as they should be. We need to get to work and improve that. Also, something that's very important to me is building relationships. I've met hundreds of business owners in our city. I'm on a first name basis with several of our local small businesses, and I always shout them out on my social media. I go in, I talk to the patrons, and I encourage them to keep spending money and spending their dollars right here in Westland. We have a great community with great people. That's the best thing about our city. And my job as mayor, being the next mayor of the city, would be to let folks know how great a city we have and how much success they'll have if they invest here. I also attend conferences across the country, and also here at home here in Metro Detroit, where business owners from across the country and then even internationally will come and talk to us. Recently met with folks from Europe and then even Asia, very close with our Taiwanese community that has a very special relationship with the Detroit Chamber of Commerce for the Taiwanese community. And they have some of the business owners here in Westland, but they're also looking at expanding and investing more of their money here. So I'm very excited about some of the things that are coming along in our future. And that's why I always attend our ribbon cuttings along with other city officials and continue to have a great relationship with City Council.
Thank you. Mr. Londo, we'll begin our next question with you. The Westland Mall has been mostly vacant for many years now. What are your thoughts on how best to revitalize this property?
So thank you for the question, Valerie. I touched on that earlier a little bit about working with the current mall owners. Not bashing the previous administration, but for some reason, the mall ownership would not meet with our previous administration, at least not on a regular basis. We met with them, like I said, 3 times in 6 short months now since taking office. Our economic development team has been meeting with them. Councilman Godbout mentioned the fast track team. We still have that fast track team in place. I believe on building customer service relationships and being business friendly here in our community. So we've met with them on a regular basis. We have a beautiful $12 million park coming, an all-inclusive, excuse me, not all-inclusive park, a beautiful urban park design coming to our community. It's going to draw hundreds of thousands of visitors from all over Southeast Michigan, along with all of our residents here in the city. We have seniors that live right across the street that are very, very excited at Greenwoodville to have this park across the street from the mall. So we're working with the mall. There is a lot of outlots out there, as Councilman Godbout stated, that could use some redevelopment. I'd like to see some mixed-use development, some housing along with some different types of diversified retail out there. And then see the mall obviously put some serious money into that property. They have let it go to decay. There's a lack of security presence there. The lighting is bad there. So I've been talking with them. They've heard me loud and clear. For many, many years, they've appealed their taxes. I'm proud to say they're finally paying their full amount of their taxes. They agreed to our values. So Westland's in great shape with the partnership with the Westland Shopping Center. We have a great relationship with the mall management there, the mall management team, and all the tenants there. We have an incredible relationship with them. So we're very excited for the future. So stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout?
Yes, thank you. The mall's been an issue for a number of years. As I mentioned, and as Mike had mentioned, the new park should spur some new interest in those outlots that the mall has. You know, we developed a plan to redevelop that whole property and work with the mall owners. We've already spent thousands of dollars on designs showing mixed use development on the site, reducing the amount of parking because parking is not, that type of amount of parking is not needed for retail sales anymore. So there are plans in place. It's trying to get the mall owners, and I think this new development is with the park is going to be that impetus that helps push the envelope. The Kohl's at the mall is the #1 Kohl's in the state and one of the top 5 in the country. Penny's kept their store open here in Westland, but closed the one in Canton. So, you know, there are some bright spots with the mall. We need to maybe help the mall owners understand that they're sitting on some potential that can increase their profitability with that facility.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Well, first of all, one thing I want to share about myself is that I'm an optimist. I know there's a lot of concern about our mall, and it hasn't been up to the standard that it was 20 or 30 years ago when I was growing up. What I think is important to keep in mind, though, and this is something that I shared with, his name is actually Jim Coleman, no relation, but he's the government affairs director of Namdar Realty, and he lives out of state. But I did a Zoom meeting like this with him, and I told him, you know what, it's time to think out of the box. Commercial real estate has gone through a big change, not just in Westland, but all across the country. But I believe that Westland is well poised to do very well in the next few years because we're centrally located between Detroit, Ann Arbor, and the airport. We're a great community to live in. But unfortunately, some people, they don't come here to shop and dine like they used to. So how do we change that? And first of all, we got to say good things about Westland. I don't want to hear that any part of our city is garbage or not a great place to be. I think our mall could be a great place to be, but we have to do things a little bit differently. Let's look at medical. Let's look at office space. Let's look at senior housing or affordable housing. I've passed bills through my housing committee in Lansing to allow cities to use TIF funds for affordable housing. This is something that I'm already doing so that if I become Westland's next mayor, we'll have some tools to work with so that we can entice developers to come in and invest a lot of their money here so that we can really turn this around. I think Westland's going to be doing great in the next few years, but we have to have the right leadership in place who knows how to handle it.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi?
Yes, Westland Mall is probably one of the biggest categories that I have on my platform on how to address it. One of the things that I've seen is that, the infrastructure is really bad, and I've mentioned that, and people don't like to come to a mall that has no lights, signs falling apart, rusty. Another thing is the lack of security. The other thing is the mall owners, we got to help them figure out that shopping is more e-commerce now. It's not really into the retail like you go in, like we have Kohl's. That's one of the few survivors in JCPenney. Why don't we expand and diverse the mall and have, for example, a billiard center for the family, classy restaurants, some nice restaurants for the family, and really expand on diversing the mall. But I also believe in utilizing the mall because of the property that it is and the parking that it has. Is like, for example, as from what I understand, Macy's is part of the mall, but it's a standalone with respect to real estate. So if that can be purchased and converted into a Westland Rec Center for our citizens, I think that'd be an outstanding opportunity. You have the parking, you have everything, and maybe just build a pool on the outside, a four-season pool right next to it. I think you're going to have a lot of support for that, and that'll bring a lot of foot traffic into the mall. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout, we'll begin our next question with you. Do you have any plans for a community center, public pool, and/or a second branch library?
I'd love to see us explore building a recreation center. It's sad that we spent $500,000 looking at the Marshall building and abandoned those plans because for financial reasons, right? But the cost that we were getting to do that program at Marshall was more than what, and I'll use Redford for an example, more than what Redford is paying for a brand new recreation center. We had our focus on one thing and didn't explore other options. We had the opportunity with the ARPA funding to do just that. And we could have built something similar to what Redford is doing right now with not only a combination of their rescue plan funds, but some from the county and some from the state. So I would love to explore that. Unfortunately, we've piddled away a lot of that money. Like I said, we've used almost $10 million just to balance the budget over the past two budget cycles. So, we haven't allocated all the money, and I'd love to see us look at something from a recreation standpoint. I think the residents want it. I think the residents deserve it. We just need to figure out how to deliver on it.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Thank you for the question. I think that's something that's on a lot of people's minds. The former mayor, William Wild, he approached me a couple of years ago. We had a strong working relationship. As a state representative, we spoke every couple of weeks or so. And during one of our budget years, he brought up the idea of a community center, a new one, possibly with recreation center features at the Marshall Middle School site over there on Bayview Street near Wayne Road. So what I did was I secured $500,000 to go towards that so that the city could explore opening up the community center. And as the councilman just mentioned, the city backed off that plan due to financial reasons. But one thing that I do keep in mind is the city has a lot of square footage and a lot of land that we're sitting on. So it's not out of the question that down the road, we might be able to explore adding more recreational features. And something that I've already mentioned in my campaign is that I want to expand programming at the Westland Friendship Center for our seniors. I know that those exercise classes, those are all the more important as you age. And then I have a great working relationship with our school system. I've brought record funding back to Wayne Westland schools and Livonia schools as our state representative. I want to see the city partner with the schools and maybe utilize some of their programming too, so that people of all ages can have access to great recreation. And then another thing that I also love about Westland is we have tons of parks. We have parks, trails, wooded areas. We have great places to walk. We have Hines Park. So there's so much to do, but the city needs to work with the community in all parts of the city, whether you're in the north end, where I live in the middle of the city, or the southeast or southwest corner of the city. We want to make sure people have access to recreation and these services. So it's not out of the question. Satellite libraries and mini libraries, something that other communities are doing. I would explore that too.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi?
Well, I guess I kind of answered it in the previous question about having a rec center. I'm open to other areas, but I feel like since the mall is somewhat centrally located in Westland, and you have the parking, you have the structure, you have the building, I think it'd be cost effective to build a rec center inside Macy's, for example. And you have the space for it. So I'm very confident in that. And I think that'll attract, actually, like I said earlier, it'll attract a lot more foot traffic into the mall. So we can expand the mall, increase the visibility, increase the businesses. And it's a win-win for everybody, really, including it's very cost effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Londo?
Thank you for the question. I started jotting down some notes here. As far as library, expanding the library itself is going under a tremendous expansion right now. We do have two libraries. We have a library at the Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center. So we have one that's on the north end of town or central end of town, and we have one on the south end of town in the historic Norring district. There was talk about partnerships. I have an incredible amount of partnerships with the county, with the state, with all the various mayors that surround Westland. We have 7 different cities that touch Westland. So you're always looking for outside the box ideas. I'm part of the Conference of Western Wayne, where there's always collaborative opportunities there. Walking neighborhoods, I love seeing the residents with the free book boxes. I think that's really cool. The parks was talked about, talking about a pool. The Parks Subcommittee currently is working right now. There's a Parks Subcommittee, excuse me, not the Parks Subcommittee, the ARPA Subcommittee. That's the American Rescue Plan Act City Council Subcommittee, talking about how to utilize the rest of the American Rescue Plan Act dollars we have. And it sounds like we're going to have a big focus on Parks and Recreation here real soon. We've been working with the superintendent from Wayne Westland Community Schools, Dr. Dingman. I had an incredible conversation with him yesterday. We've had a lot of partnerships with him. There's talk about working with him to utilize the Dyer Center pool and potentially the John Glenn High School pool. As far as the rec center, that's one of my long-term goals and visions, and actually short-term goals as well. I would love to see a state-of-the-art recreation facility on our old Ford Road site where the Bailey Center used to be. Candidate Awadi mentioned Macy's. That'd be great. A private developer has to come in, and the mall owner or whoever owns Macy's would need to want to put that there. We can want to put something anywhere we want. It comes down to a developer coming forward and 2 people working together to put that there. Real quick on Marshall, it wasn't fiscally responsible. I was on the city council at the time with Councilman Godbout, and we made the decision not to move forward with that project, and I think it was the right decision. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman, we'll begin our next question with you. Is transparency an issue in Westland government? Why or why not?
I was first elected to the Westland City Council 10 years ago in 2013. I started as a councilman in 2014 at the old City Hall on Ford Road. During my first year in office, we moved over to the new City Hall. One thing that I'm not sure who it was put on the agenda was to remove the citizens' comments and put them at the end of the meeting and not record them. I couldn't be more opposed to that. I believe that people should have a voice and should be able to ask questions. At one of the recent city council meetings here in July, unfortunately, one of the, and I'm not attacking anybody, but this is just a fact, one of the other candidates questioned why another candidate was speaking or asking a question. This is not the way that I would conduct myself as our next mayor. I believe that we should be open, transparent, answer people's questions. Again, I give out my cell phone to every resident. I'll give it out at the end of our talk here today. But I return every call. You can call me anytime. You can text me. I'm here for you. That's why we're here. That's why you elect us and why you vote for us. We're here to serve. For me, this is about service. It's not about a title. It's something that's very rewarding because I know that we have the ability to help people.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi?
Well, transparency is the number one thing on my number one issue on my platform, actually, that I'm very concerned about that. I feel like an example is FOIA. I don't feel like you Westland residents should have to fill out a FOIA request just to receive information on where their tax money's going. I completely disagree with that. I think we should eliminate that and be just completely transparent with non-confidential information, of course. If you have a transparent government, you're going to have the trust of the citizens in that government and the ability of that government to do the job right. So transparency is completely of utmost importance to me. With respect to what Mr. Coleman was saying, I wholeheartedly agree with him about how we need to respect each other and talk to each other. We've had so many issues, and you know, I don't think government should be ran like that. I think we should just be there, and people need to realize, at least us as candidates, we have to understand that we're here to serve the people and not ourselves. And honestly, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the service, and that's the 100% truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Londo?
Thank you so much for the question. Transparency is extremely important. Transparency and accountability within any government, within any person, even in the private sector, is extremely important. I'm proud to say that we have a transparency dashboard located right on our citywestland.com website. We have a police dashboard that shows real-time crime stats to show what type of crimes are being committed in our community, what type of people are committing those crimes, when they occur, what type of day they occur, ethnicity, all that type of information. When folks ask for information, we give it to them. I'm very transparent and available to the residents. The residents and business owners of this city know when they call the mayor's office, we take their call. We talk to hundreds of residents every week. My phone rings off the hook with people wanting to talk to the mayor's office about a number of things, share concerns, ask questions. They're always calling and asking questions because unfortunately, there's misinformation out there all the time, and people call and we give them the truth every single time. So we'll work with everyone. All you have to do is call my office or send us an email anytime. We'll work with you on anything you want information on.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout?
Thanks. Yeah, transparency is important. We need to be transparent. People expect us to be transparent. Unfortunately, we've had some recent instances where we haven't been transparent. There were events that came to light in the police department that were kept hidden from city council for 2 months. You know, that's unacceptable. When former Mayor Wild gave his closing State of the City address, he mentioned the fact that one of the things that he found about me was you had to keep me informed, keep everybody informed, and let the council know what's going on and be open about what's happening in the city. And he admitted some of our biggest arguments was when he wasn't forthcoming with information that should have gone out to the council. So we need to address transparency, being open. The dashboard's fine. That's a statistics numbers issue, right? But we also need to be transparent in how we conduct business with vendors, with colleagues, and that's not occurring currently. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi, will begin the next question with you. Will you be keeping the recycling program or the leaf pickup program?
The recycling program, absolutely, 100%. I would keep that. The leaf program, I I think it needs to be researched further because leaves tend to fall in the sewage system and they can clog up and you can have floods in the streets. So people are taking their leaves, putting it on the streets. And what happens was if there's a little rain or any, inclement weather, then you have the leaves slowly going in and blocking the sewage system. So I'm concerned about that. I guess it would depend on the area where we can have a leaf pickup. But it's not off the table. I wouldn't stop it. I'd just do more research on it.
Thank you. Mr. Londo?
Thank you. These are two very, very easy ones to answer. Westland is very fortunate. We have an award-winning curbside recycling program. We have a beautiful state-of-the-art recycling facility on Marquette Road for folks that don't have curbside recycling. I'm very proud of our sustainability efforts here in our community in regards to recycling. Got a minute and a half left. Let's talk about leaf pickup. We did a survey. That's one of any candidate that's on this call that knocks doors. I'm telling you right now, the folks are telling them they want leaf pickup back. They want it. And if they're not supporting it, that's not a good thing, because 91% of the people were in favor of it when we put a survey out to the folks, to the residents. They were in favor of it. And the folks that weren't necessarily in favor of it just shared some concerns, right? Candidate Awadi mentioned that might not work, that the machines might get jammed up, our city or our seasons change differently. We've looked at all those factors. We looked at and talked to many different communities to share best practices, and not just best practices, but things that were going wrong with those communities. So all we're asking for is to give us a chance this season to bring the leaf pickup program back. I can tell you right now, residents want it, and we're bringing it back this fall. There's going to be a lot more information coming out about that. I'm really big on communication efforts to let residents know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. So stay tuned to that. You'll be seeing and hearing a lot more about the leaf pickup program and how successful we hope and think it's going to be.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout? Oh, Mr. Godbout, you're muted.
Sorry. As far as the curbside recycling, yes, I would definitely continue curbside recycling. Actually, I started the recycling committee before I even became elected to city council. There was a committee formed to look at how we could implement curbside recycling back 23 years ago, 24 years ago. So yes, curbside recycling. The voters passed a millage so that we could reinstitute the curbside recycling program. As far as the leaf pickup program goes, here's an example of doing something in an election year for political purposes. Yes, the leaf pickup program is popular with about 35 to 40% of the residents that actually utilize it. There are thousands of residents that don't have the opportunity for the leaf pickup program. We're saying we're going to do this. We've allocated $500,000, and I will tell you, when we discontinued the program, it cost more than $500,000 to do the leaf pickup program for a 2-month program. I had proposed during the budget session, we're using the money from that millage because of a savings at the landfill. The millage that the voters passed for curbside recycling, we're using that millage rate because of the savings that we got at the landfill by lowering our tipping fees. So I had proposed a $500,000 rollback of taxes to all the residents that would have benefited 100% of the taxpayers in the city, not the 35 to 40% that may utilize this leaf pickup program.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Well, thank you. I first was elected at Westland City Council 10 years ago in 2013, and I've been representing Westland for 9 years now. And one thing a lot of people know is I previously ran for mayor back in 2017. When I ran for mayor, I talked a lot about leaf pickup because it's something that I thought people wanted back. So I'm encouraged to see that we're exploring bringing it back. I don't know how successful it will be yet because it's a promise in the future. We haven't seen results yet, and we haven't seen how well that's going to go. And I haven't been in there to see the finances and to know how successful it will be. But I can tell you, if it's successful and it goes well, I absolutely will support it as mayor. Like I said, it's something I proposed years ago, back when I was a member of the city council. I'm absolutely someone who's going to listen to the residents, and we'll see how they feel about it this fall when it's rolling out. Now, about the environment, we have to be good stewards of the environment, and we have to continue the recycling. As a state representative, I work well with our environmental groups statewide, League of Conservation Voters, and other groups that are very important to our making sure that we're doing well as a state as far as taking care of our environment. There is one disappointment, though, and that's that recycling has never been expanded to condos and apartments. And why not? Because the city hasn't been able to figure out how to do it. I think we can be creative and figure out a way to expand our recycling. It's something Mayor Wild talked about years ago, moving on to the next phase of recycling. I believe that I'm the leader that can get this done. If you vote for me, I will continue to support recycling in our city. I absolutely will not let you down, and I will find a way to expand our recycling.
Thank you. Mr. Londo, we'll start the next question with you.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to lower property taxes? If so, how?
Taxes, that's always an interesting thing. Right now is a time where tax bills just went out. City Hall's been very busy every day with folks coming in, paying their taxes. Letters just went out recently, or the bills just went out recently. Of course, we're always looking to lower taxes, and obviously taxes is a major issue. Depending on the value of your home, obviously your taxes are higher depending on what part of the city you live in and the type of home you have. But absolutely, we're always looking for options to explore lowering taxes. Candidate a few minutes ago mentioned rolling back a millage. He didn't mention, though, that would have been about $10 per resident for the year. So it was an opportunity to bring back a service, leaf pickup service, for a lot of residents in our community. And we also are concerned about those condos as well. And we're going to look for an alternative for those folks that maybe won't be a part of the leaf pickup program. So we'll be rolling out information on that as well to the folks in the condos. And since we're talking about taxes, people pay taxes for recycling as well. Absolutely. We're looking to expand into the condos and other areas of town. When I'm knocking doors, talking to some of these folks in the condominiums at Holiday Park and all across town, they ask me about it. But you have to work within different homeowners associations. You can't just make a promise and say you're going to bring it back. You have to work within those developments to see A, do they want it, and B, if it's feasible and it can happen. But we have the money in our sanitation budget. I'm sure we can make it happen, and we'll make it happen.
Thank
If the
you.
residents want it. Excuse me.
Mr. Godbout?
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. Sure, as I just mentioned, I had proposed lowering the taxes during this budget cycle. The other area where we should probably look at giving the residents a break is on the library millage once this expansion is completed. I believe the expansion, they already have enough money to pay for the expansion that's being built at the library. And are projected to significantly increase their fund balance every year moving forward. The additional $1 million is one area that we should look at rolling back and giving the residents a break on some of their taxes. I will tell you, more than the leaf pickup program, more than any other service, when I've been out knocking doors, I hear about people's taxes. And their taxes went up by 5% this year, okay? Not because of any millage issues, but just because the values went up. And that $10 number for the recycling or for the leaf pickup program, that's the median price. If you're in a $400,000 home, which most of the new constructions are, that $500,000 is a lot more than $10 for your that you're paying in that millage. So yes, we need to look at all of our millages and see what we can do to try and help the residents out.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Well, thank you for the question. I got to say, I've been to city meetings in the last few months. I've been going to city meetings for over a decade now. And I've been hearing the M word being millage. And I know there's been a ton of spending this year during an election year, a lot of big promises being made down the road, things we haven't seen yet. But with all this money being spent, I've heard council members and city officials saying, well, maybe we'll get a millage So I think we should be careful who we vote for because, I don't want to see our taxes go up. People are struggling with inflation. People are struggling with higher prices. And I think you need to keep in mind when you vote, you have a candidate who's already lowered your taxes. I cut the senior pension tax as a state representative, one of the biggest tax cuts in Michigan history. I expanded the working families tax credit so that lower to middle income families can keep more money in their wallet and in their bank account. So this is important to me. People are in need in our community, and we need to think compassionately about how people are getting by. Seniors are on a fixed income. Can they afford to get gas, buy food, pay the rent, pay their insurance? This is something we really need to look at. And I appreciate the councilman who spoke before me saying, maybe there is opportunity to roll back some pieces here, but it's going to take getting in and seeing what the numbers are. But you got to keep in mind, I just brought 7 million to the fire department to help fund. We need to partner with the state. We need to work with people and have those great relationships. I've talked to Governor Whitmer about the city of Westland and the needs here. I'm trying to put us on the map so that we can continue to get more funding and keep our costs down and continue these great services and great projects that we have without raising taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Owadi?
Yes, my thing to cut taxes, I think is I feel like the administration is a little bit top heavy. It's got a lot of directors, a lot of leaders there that I believe that can be consolidated. I don't believe I think they're overstaffed in so many areas. And the other thing is I look at the budget, there's each department has, I think it's called contractor or contractor fee, is where they have an agreement with, for example, like the building contractors that do the inspections or whatever, from what I heard just in the last council meeting. That's $992,000. The attorney firm is almost $1 million. I'm not really a fan of that. I mean, I don't understand why we can't hire an attorney like other cities do. I mean, Dearborn hired one for $250,000 full-time city attorney. I mean, that's a huge cut right there. Hire people in-house instead of just paying so much for the contractor. So I think all that combined, I think we're able to cut taxes. And honestly, my dream would be, and I will fight for that, is once we've consolidated some positions and looked at the entire budget, I'd like to give back to the homeowners, citizens of Westland. Even if it's a check back, give them money back, because I personally pay $9,800 a year. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question will be our final question, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Godbout. How will you learn what is on the minds of Westland residents?
Well, I've always been open to and communicated with the residents on a regular basis. My phone number's always been published. I get calls on a regular basis, emails, but communication is one of the things I've been hearing when I've been going out knocking on doors. I've knocked somewhere around 2,500 doors this campaign season already, and communication and the people's ability to know what's going on. There is no newspaper. People don't trust half of the stuff that's on social media, nor should they in some regards. But the being able to communicate with the residents, and not everybody has a cell phone. Not everybody has the capabilities of getting those types of messages. When we have emergency alerts, we need to have a mechanism in place so that we're calling landlines for people that still have landlines. I've talked with several residents that don't text. They don't go on social media. They may have a cell phone, but it's an old flip phone, and they couldn't text if they had to, or receive a text. So we need to be open and to new ideas. I'm drawing a blank on the city. I think it was Holland, just implemented a program with Nextdoor, the app Nextdoor, for the city. And it sends out communications and allows input from the residents over that Nextdoor app. So I think we need to look at expanding our options and our abilities to communicate better with the residents.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Well, I think in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good listener. And that's something that I enjoy doing. I like to hear from people. I like to know what they're thinking. That's why I knock on doors, and that's why I talk to my neighbors. That's why I go to the local businesses and ask the patrons and the owners, how you doing? How are things going? Again, I've mentioned before, I give out my cell phone number. I'll do it now. 734-751-6321. You can call me anytime, leave me a voicemail. I will call you back, guaranteed. You can text that number as well. I have a website, colemanformayor.com, Facebook page, Kevin Coleman for Mayor. My email is kevincolemancc@gmail.com. That's just me, but the city, we need to have a little more one-on-one, face-to-face contact with our residents. You know, we do a lot on social media. I think the social media, WLND, I believe runs that. Craig Walkenbach over there does a great job. But how do we expand that out so people who aren't online know what's going on? Well, I would have my staff as mayor visit different neighborhoods of the city every month or two and have events and rotate around. And as a state representative, I have a monthly coffee hour that I do with our Wayne County Commissioner, Glenn Anderson, where we meet at a coffee shop and people can come in and talk to us face to face. I'll continue to do that as mayor. So it's really about being accessible and about hearing from people. It's not just about what I want to tell you, but I want to know what you as residents want to tell me, because that's how I do my job the best of my ability. I need to know what you're thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Awadi?
I was having a problem with the mute button here. As I've stated before, I think the best way to communicate with residents is to be transparent, first and foremost. Also, and I talk about it on my platform, one of the things that I'd like to see is to have the city hall open, maybe on a Wednesdays to 8 p.m. and have a dedicated staff where myself as mayor would be there and my directors would be there and some staff would be there from each department. I don't feel like everybody just gets off at 5 o'clock. A lot of people get off at work at 5 and they rush to try to get things addressed or pay bills or whatever the case is. So I think moving forward, I wanted to have the residents to be able to come in after hours where I'll be available. Additionally, if my website at awadiformayor.com talks about an open door policy. I'm 100% believer in having an open door policy. I don't think that you should have to go through a bunch of bureaucratic red tape or levels of people to talk to. As Mr. Coleman has said, my number, and I'm going to give you my number. You could text and give me a call anytime. And that's 734-899-0644. But I'm very, dedicated to the residents. I don't believe they should go through obstacles to really have their questions answered. And I believe we should be open once a week till 8 o'clock at least for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Londo?
Thank you so much. I have a communication background. I've been handling communication for many, many years. And as mayor, I utilize every tool in my toolbox to keep the citizens informed. So whether it's through the WLND cable channel, which was again mentioned that Craig Welkenbach and his team do a fantastic job of not only putting things out on the cable channel, but we do community forums or community summits, as I like to say. We do a newsletter. Every single water bill is a newsletter in there. We do an e-insider newsletter. We do press releases. The city's website and social media platforms are updated on a continuous basis. It is my goal to ensure we're using every mechanism we have at our disposal. It's important to me to establish that we continue to establish open lines of communication to foster transparency and keep the citizens well informed about both the challenges and progress of the city. I also spend hours each week meeting and taking calls from our residents, hours and hours and hours of door knocking. And nobody on this call knocking more doors than I am. I'm out there every single day knocking doors. I may not be married right now, but I'm married to this job. I work 15-hour days. So anybody that's running for this job, you're in for some very long days, but I'll tell you right now, it's the most rewarding thing ever. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's the honor of my life to serve as mayor of the city of Westland, and I'm looking forward to continue to serve. I do have a campaign website as well. It's real simple. It's votelondo.com. It's VOTELONDEAU.com. You can also email me at mike@votelondo.com. I'm on every social media platform you can imagine. You can find me on there at Mayor Mike Londo. You can also call or email the mayor's office. I mentioned I take and make hundreds of calls a week. My office staff handles and talks to many different residents. I call every single resident back, and I'll tell you right now, the residents greatly appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. This concludes the questions portion of our forum. Now the candidates have an opportunity to do a 2-minute closing statement. Mr. Coleman, we'll begin with you.
Well, first of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thank you, Jackie, Val, Carrie. I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. Anytime there's another forum to talk to our residents and talk to voters, I'll always jump at it. Really appreciate that, because letting people know what you stand for, what your values are, what you believe in, and who you are, that's probably the most important thing you can do as a candidate when you're running for office. Believe it or not, this is my 7th run for office in the city of Westland. I ran for city council. It took me 2 tries to get on council. I won on my 2nd try. Ran for mayor previously. Being a state rep, you rack up a lot of elections. I'm in my 3rd term, so we run every 2 years. So I've run 3 times for that, and now here I am running for mayor again. A lot of people ask me, why would you leave the state and come back and want to be mayor of Westland? Well, the simple answer is I love this city. The thing I love the most about it is the people. We have amazing people here, people who care about each other, people who lived here for their entire lives. I meet people who've lived here 50, 60, 70 years. They've seen all the changes. But what I want to do as mayor is bring hope and excitement back to our city. I see the potential that we have here that is really boundless. I mean, we have so many good things going for our city, but we need the right leadership, somebody who knows government and can bring those results. So that's what I want you to do is vote on a track record, vote on results, not just huge promises. There's a lot of people making really big promises who've come in and said, well, I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but what's been done? I've been here a decade now, working for you, and I love this city. So I want to ask you to highly consider me. Again, if you have any questions, give me a call, 734-751-6321. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Owadi?
Yes, I actually believe I've been door knocking quite a bit myself, as all of us have. And one of the things that I've noticed from residents and speaking to them and really understanding what they want in a leadership, in a city leadership, and they don't want the same old, same old. So they don't want the same politicians that have been in office. They don't want the same atmosphere. They want to see change, and they've been demanding a change. So my thing is, if I'm an individual that's a normal citizen, yes, I have a lot of education, a lot of experience in leadership management. I have a PhD in public administration. I can apply all that to run an effective administration that serves the residents and not itself. And I'm looking, for the vote from the residents. I will guarantee them they will have my heart and soul to this job, because I believe it is for the citizens and not for ourselves. So I don't believe that the residents want to see the same old, quite honestly. They want to see a change. They're demanding a change, and it needs to happen. And it's going to happen if you elect me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Londo?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters and those candidates that thought it was important enough to attend. I really appreciate it. And I hope the folks that are watching this saw value in what was being said tonight. And I hope they'll do some fact checking on some of the stuff. There was a lot of misinformation from other members, but when it comes down to it, I firmly believe that I possess the qualities and commitment necessary to lead our community towards a more inclusive and equitable future. Both as a member of the city council and serving as your mayor, I have a proven track record of actively supporting initiatives aimed at advancing women's representation and participation at all levels of government. I'm very proud that much of my administrative staff is led by women. Many of their deputies are women as well. So I've actively supported policies that ensure women have equal opportunities to serve in leadership positions and decision-making roles. I've I've also, excuse me, recruited female candidates to run for city council. And I think we have two of the best and brightest on our current city council right now. In addition to my commitment to gender equality, I have a strong vision for economic development that encompasses all members of our community. I recognize the importance of promoting fair wages, safe working conditions, and equal opportunities for everyone. My plans for job creation and business growth prioritize inclusivity, ensuring that everyone has an equal chance to succeed and thrive in our local economy. Furthermore, I feel I have demonstrated a genuine dedication to social justice and community engagement. I'll continue to actively seek input from various community organizations, including the League of Women Voters, to develop policies that reflect the diverse needs and aspirations of the residents. If you believe in the work we're doing at City Hall, please vote to retain me as your mayor. We have made tremendous progress, but there's still a lot of work to be done, and it's going to take us all working together to get it done. Thank you again for your time, and please reach out to me if you have any questions or you'd like me to personally come visit you at your house. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Godbout?
Thanks. This election should be about who's the best qualified to run the city, not who's put up the most signs on the street corners or who has the most likes on social media. I encourage you to look at each candidate's education, their background, experience, and leadership. When you do, I believe you will find that Jim Godbout is the most qualified and the right choice for mayor. If you have any questions or would like to discuss any topic, please call me at 734-331-6665. Email me at jim@jimgodbout.net or visit my website, jimgodbout.net. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the moderators for presenting this forum. I'd like to thank the voters who have taken the time to watch this forum. Please remember to vote in the August 8th primary and vote Jim Godbout for Westland Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes the candidates' closing statements. We thank the League of Women Voters members who helped with this forum, Jackie Peters and Carrie Moon Dupree. The forum has been recorded and can soon be viewed on the League's website, which is lwvnorthwestwayne.org. Please note that the ownership of the recording or transcript resides with the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. The candidates or their supporters may not use portions of the forum or any audio clips, video clips, or transcripts for political advertising or other purposes without the written permission of the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. We also thank the candidates who are running for office. They are asking for your support as they seek a job in the public service sector, and we hope voters will listen to their views. We also appreciate the voters in Westland who are watching this forum to learn about their choices on Tuesday, August 8th. All of these candidates were invited to also participate in the League of Women Voters Voter Guide, a publication you can access online by visiting vote411.org. The League of Women Voters is providing this forum as an opportunity for candidates to express their views related to their candidacy. Statements expressed by the candidates are not endorsed or opposed by the League of Women Voters. Also, the League of Women Voters does not certify any candidate responses to questions as accurate. Voters are encouraged to fact-check information shared at the forum. Election Day is August 8th. If you're not registered to vote, you can do so up through Election Day. Within 14 days of the election, registration must be done at the office of your city clerk. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., but all registered voters can vote early by absentee ballot. Remember that you must first fill out and return an absentee ballot application to your city or township clerk before a ballot can be mailed to you. If you need an absentee ballot application, contact your city clerk. This concludes our forum for this evening. Thank you, candidates, for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Carrie, Val.